Hello, everyone. I am Heather with Magnificent Mamas, and we are joined here today with author Ann Charles. Ann, would you like to introduce yourself?
Like you said, Ann Charles, and I've been writing for way too long. But I first published back in 2011, working on 5 different series ever since, keeping them going. One of them I co-write with my husband. But they're mystery, supernatural, a little bit of romance, lots of humor, throwing all kinds of stuff in, some historical stuff mixed in. I love the mixed genre, categories, and I like to put it all together and have fun on the page. And
I don't think I could put my book under just one genre. I
know, back in the day, way back in the 90s, early 2000s, when I was trying to get published then with, a big publisher, they wanted to know, are you writing mystery or are you writing romance? What is this? And I was like, it's a mix, half and half. And they were like, well, you kind of got to pick a team. With Amazon and Kindle and all the ebooks, it just categories no longer, you could do everything in a book. And it's so wonderful that we can have multiple categories now.
I agree completely. And it just makes the book more rounded and more open to other readers, because say you write sci-fi fantasy and then you add that little bit of romance, you might bring in some of those romance readers.
Right. I mean, I love romances. I also love science fiction. I love adventure. Throw it all together and I'm just perfect. That's a great mix. So the more you can put in my opinion, a mix of all kinds of things, adventure, science fiction, fantasy, romance, whatever, history, whatever you can throw in there, I think it just makes, for me, a book more fun. Now, I know there's diehard, readers that only want this type of a book, and that's cool too. But I think a lot of us now like to mix it up and have a lot of things, on the pages together.
I agree completely. Like I said before, it makes it more rounded and invites more readers of different genres into your book and into your world. And I think that's, in this day and age where everyone's publishing books left and right through Amazon, I think standing out is important.
Exactly. And hard. Once you find readers that love your kind of storytelling, it's such an amazing feeling to find others who think the way you do, enjoy the things you do.
Yeah. So what age range would you say your book's geared towards?
I would say, NC 17 and up. I do have some younger readers, but usually the parents will read through first.
So if you could bring one of your characters to life for a day, who would it be and what would you do?
I would probably pick one of the quirky ones that, I have a lot of fun with, like, Old Man Harvey in my Deadwood series, or Cornelius, or Hank from the Undertaker series, or Chester from the Jackrabbit series. These guys are all, I have fun with these guys, and they do some crazy stuff, and I think they would keep me quite entertained for the day.
Do you think if your characters had social media, what types of posts do you think they'd put up?
I think the heroines in particular would put up some of these amazingly funny memes about being exhausted. And, when it's like Violet has 2 twin 9-year-olds going on 10, and just trying to be a parent and trying to work and try to do everything and battle supernatural creatures at the same time. I mean, it's hard enough being a mom, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And she's a single mom. So, stack onto it, battling things that you can't sometimes see coming at you. It's just, I think hers would be pretty hilarious. But I have Claire and her sisters from the Jackrabbit series, and there's 3 of them, and they're true sisters. They love each other dearly, but they also pick at each other, and argue, and I think it would be blast.
You said the single mom, she would be
posting tons of memes about trying to raise 2 children, twins, while trying to fight supernatural creatures, coming at her, and the craziness. And she's a real estate agent with a boss that is so into social media and all kinds of new stuff. Like, he just had her and some of the other realtors do realtors are paranormal live, reality kind of shows. So he's always coming up with new things putting them on billboards with awkward sayings, and all kinds of stuff that really, it works with marketing, but it doesn't always feel the best when you're the one that's being put on display. I'm sure she'd have a lot of fun things to say regarding, with a lot of dry sarcasm.
If you could visit any time period, what time period would you visit?
Gosh, it's so tough. History seems so, kind of cool. And I'd probably go back in time, to just different time periods. Like I said, to go see certain people in history and what they were really like and to hear them talk. Just to go back to, let's say, I don't know, New York back in the 1800s and see what the people really, acted like, moved, how they spoke, how things smelled. As a writer, you're always wanting to know, what's the temperature like? How did you feel? How did stuff smell? And what was their voice, the tones of their voice, all that kind of stuff.
The way that history portrays them to be now.
Right. I mean, we try to get an idea, but we don't know. And if you read old newspapers, they were so well spoken, many of them. So it would be really interesting, again, as an author, to go back and be able to research what was truly going on.
I was born in the 80s, so we figured by this time, there'd be flying cars and,
right.
How random people thought the technology would advance to. And it's advanced, but, not quite as, Back to the Future-y as people thought.
Not quite, although, I don't know, it's moving faster now. It seems like in the last 5-10 years, all of a sudden we're going thunk forward, and it'll be interesting as we keep going to see how things change. And now we're really getting into, my husband and I were, back when we were younger and our kids are in high school and college going, did they have that in your day? Like, shut up.
When I was younger, we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have computers in the homes. Were just becoming popular. Internet was still dial-up. What's VCR?
Yeah, I was just telling my daughter a week ago about the frustration when you had the dial phone. Mm-hmm. If you had a long number and you got to almost the end and your finger slipped or you hit the wrong number, and then you had to hang up and wait a couple seconds, pick it back up and start the process over again. And she was like, that's just so bizarre.
Do you have a favorite writer?
No, I jump around a lot because I get to where, okay, I'm in the mood for, a historical romance. And then I have certain authors I go to for those. And sometimes I'll try a new one. Being a full-time author, this is what I do. So most days, it's about hitting word count. And if I don't quite hit my word count and do all the marketing and day-to-day bookkeeping, all that good stuff, then I kind of don't have the time or the energy to pick up a book as much as I used to before I was a writer. I was a much better reader then. But I have some old school romance writers that I just read their books over and over again because it's like watching your favorite movie, and going to a comfort spot. I like a lot of humor when I read, if I can find it, or, I'm not big on, I guess I don't want to cry too much through a book because sometimes regular life gives me enough tears, That's just me. My daughter, she enjoys dramas and teary things. And she'll say, do you want to watch this movie with me? And I'll say, am I going to cry? Am I going to walk away feeling upset?
I'm going to be bawling my eyes out through half the movie. And they're looking at me like, why are you crying?
I know. Is it going to take me 2 or 3 days to get over and stop thinking about this, in a sad way? Or am I going to laugh? So... yeah, she's like, it'll be funny. Don't worry. But she's a great screener for me that way.
Good. Sometimes you need it. If you had a chance to co-author with anybody alive or dead, who would you choose to co-author with?
That's tough. Like I said at the beginning, I do have a series I co-write with my husband. We do okay most all the time, but we do argue and there are struggles. And I've always thought, having done this with him, I don't know that I want to co-author because I'm afraid it could damage a friendship when you both feel strongly about characters. We're married, so we just argue it out if we disagree and, move on. Given the opportunities you co-write with, some of the huge names out there, Stephen King, I don't know, Janet Vanovich, whoever, of course, you're going to go, sure, okay, I'll do, whatever I can, because they're so awesome that you would be like, yeah, I'd love this opportunity to get to know them as a co-author level.
I asked somebody the same question earlier, and I was shocked at the answer when she said her brother.
Really?
Like her younger brother. And I thought that was so awesome because you could choose anyone from any time period, and that just shows the love right there.
Right.
I just thought that was just such a unique answer. I'm always curious to see what people say. I had somebody say that they wouldn't want to choose one of the big ones like Stephen King and stuff, because the ones you look up to, if they told you your writing was not that good, it'd be devastating.
That's true. I hadn't even thought about that. On a side note, I do, you can see a couple of my books right there. My brother is actually our illustrator and cover artist.
Nice.
So I do work with him a lot. Since I was a little kid, he's 4.5 years older than me. He's always been drawing monsters and things. And so when the time came and to talk about cover art and different things, he was like, I'd like to throw my hat in the ring and see what you think of some of my stuff. So I was like, of course, yeah. And we have been together ever since. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it is cool to get to work with him on this. And then as things, the books get out there further, people are getting to see his art, and then read the stories. I draw stick people. He came right before me coming out of the womb, and he took all that. And I'm like, gosh, you took it all. You couldn't even leave me the ability to draw like good flowers or anything. All I can draw is a stick person.
Yeah. I get it. Can we see your covers in your book?
These are some of the latest too in the different series. So you can kind of see that ring light's in the way.
Yeah.
I'll draw different pieces, like she's a piece with this, and then the background is a piece a lot of times. And then here's another one where he'll do it different pieces, because when you do a cover, you kind of have to take and move things around to fit words and design, right? So my husband is the graphic artist that will take what my brother draws, and he uses like colored pencils or, stuff like that. And then he'll scan it, my husband will, and then he'll take it from there, use the original art to create different covers, which is really cool. And I was going to see if I could find an illustration for you that's an example. Of course, I'm going through the whole book and I can't find anything right now.
Don't you love when that happens?
Yeah, that's how it always goes. Oh, here's one. I had written about Wayne Newton salt and pepper shakers from Vegas. And so my brother drew some Wayne Newton salt and pepper shakers to put in there for illustrations. He'll do about 6 or 7 illustrations for each book. And then we incorporate those in as well. So it's cool. It's very much in the family for us.
Having all those people that you already have in your life supporting you and helping you build and just become that more united and that more out there is just awesome.
It makes it fun to go to like book signings and stuff. Sometimes as an author, you go to a strange place for a book signing, you sit there because nobody knows maybe who you are. And, so it's really nice when you get to take siblings with you or my husband. And we're all there together just hanging out. And then if someone comes, we have fun with them. But it makes it so it's not so bad to go out there, and
so stressful.
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of book signings?
I really pulled back once my kids hit junior high. Upper, when they were pretty young, I went a little bit more. But then, actually, it was more like elementary. It just seemed like the more I went, the more it was causing stresses, even for a few days. And I couldn't really take them to some of them because it's just, no place. It's hard to focus when there's little kids. As they've gotten older, we take them with us. For example, 2 of our series are set in Deadwood, South Dakota. It's Old West town, on the western side of the state. And my kids have gone with us since they were little to that. And the fans and readers that live around there know them, have watched them grow up. And they still go, the kids do, and help. Because every year we have a fan party where a bunch of us come together and we do fun stuff, and have events and things like that. So they're always part of that too, with all the work that goes into planning and putting it on.
That's awesome. That's exciting.
Well, it gives them a taste for what this is like. It's not just some job we go to or we do. They see how, the highs and lows of it.
Of your passion, and there's good and bad, and like you said, highs and lows.
Yeah, there was a bad review one time. It wasn't horrible. They just made a little comment, and my kids had been reading it to me while I was driving. One of the kids and the other was listening, and it was so funny. They just got so upset. It's like, you gotta let it go. Well, how can that person say that to you? And I'm like, that's life. That's what writing and so many things in life. People judge you, and you just have to be able to listen and take anything good out of it. And if there's nothing good, just move on.
In business in general, those negative remarks, it can really, like, when you put your heart and your soul into your business, and being an author, that's your business too.
Right.
I know I had somebody booked up for an interview, and then they had thought I had been doing the podcast since October. But if you look on my Facebook page, it says, launching March 1st.
Right.
So, we're new on the podcast end of things. But within 2 days of looking for authors, I had over 200 people booked.
Wow, that's amazing.
To have on my podcast. And within a week, like over 500 and something.
Wow.
So it's been a crazy, couple of weeks, but so awesome. And meeting everybody and getting to know these authors and their books has just been an amazing experience. Truly amazing.
It's really great to listen to how other authors do things and how they think, and getting ideas for yourself, your own life too. Back before 2011, back around 2007, I think, with another author, we started a website that's no longer, but it was made to help new authors learn how to market, so that when they got published, they'd already have an idea of what they're doing. And we would have guests, I think, 3 times a week. And we learned so much from, people coming in and sharing how they were building their platform and their brand, and soaking all that up, and made some great, friendships along the way too, that keep in touch with a lot of them. So it was really neat to learn from others in an environment where it's not like we're competing, just share your information. That was really cool.
So many authors, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I do what I do with offering, free promotions to authors, is because they go and they publish, and then they might not know that they have to market and promote their books and have no idea what to do. Or maybe the publisher, said that there was going to be marketing or promoting, and there was room for improvement there.
Right.
Every situation is different, but I've noticed, so many authors being so supportive and so thankful, me offering free promotion for their books. It's just a wonderful feeling to know that I'm helping their name and their books out there.
Being kind and helping and sharing. I mean, so much of this job is a solo endeavor where you're just writing and then you put it out there, and then you get, some people like it, some people don't. There's a lot of stress and anxiety.
Yep.
All that comes together for all the work you do to make the story or create the story. And so when you find other authors, that are sharing and helping and want to co-promote or other things, it's just such a wonderful feeling. It's like you have coworkers, and you're in this together, and you're facing, critique or praise together, but it is nice to do that with someone.
Yeah, I agree. It's a wonderful experience, and I love it. And I wouldn't, only thing in the world I'd want to do right now. Do you want to share anything else about your writing, about your book?
Ebook, print book, audiobook. Since the beginning, we've been doing audiobook, which back then was kind of crickets.
Yeah.
But finally, it's a good thing we did, because while it was crickets back in 2012, now, audiobooks have really started to come into their own. So if you're interested in listening, you can listen to the stories, or read them, whichever is your cup of tea. And all that you can find through my website at AnnCharles.com. If you just head over there, it lists different links to different things, you can check out even more in the blog section. I don't blog, but we put our newsletter out there that we put out monthly. So you can go over and take a peek.
Yeah, for sure. We'll make sure that we have your links to your books, to your website, socials, everything shared on our website as well, so people can find you and reach out, and hopefully people, go and buy your books and tell you how much they love them.
Exactly. I'm always looking for people that share my sense of humor because, in life, it's hard to find. It's not like it used to be where you went out and, cruised the streets with your buddies and ran into people you knew. Now it's all online. And if you can find someone that shares a sense of humor with you and can share things back and forth, it's such an amazing feeling. So I'm always out there looking for new people that, enjoy the same kind of comedy I do or the same kind of story. Yeah. And I try to reply when people write. Sometimes it takes a while because there is life happening here, and
there's life and there's so much to do.
Right. As a parent and my parents are getting older, so there's a lot of stuff that helping them too. So it's kind of, I'm in those, what they call the sandwich years where you're sandwiched between it all. So, but I do try to get back with everybody that writes to me.
One of the authors, my daughter, is obsessed with her audiobooks right now. She was waiting on the fourth one to become an audiobook, and she's, went through these books, the first three, 5 times now. Yeah. I'm like, okay, let's move on to another book. And she's like, yeah. Well, I sent her a message, inviting her to join our podcast, that my daughter was a huge fan and would love to, be able to ask her some questions. We're hoping we get a response one of these days, but...
Busy.
Yeah. Has busy people. So fingers crossed for my daughter that she gets. That would be super thrilling to her.
Yeah, that is. Boy, yeah. There's certain authors like that. If I could just talk to them a little bit, that'd be so cool.
We all have some that we want to talk to and whatnot. It would be awesome.
Yeah. I have one of my favorites. She's from long ago, a romance writer, and it was 5 or 6 years ago. I friended her on Facebook and just was like, man, I love your books. I love this book. I've read it probably this many times, blah, blah, blah. And she friended me and I was like, that is the coolest. And now,
that is awesome.
Me. She writes back and we, and it's the coolest thing when you get one of the authors who you just love when they talk to you and you get to feel like you kind of know them a little. So I do the fangirl stuff too, just like everybody else with authors.
That's awesome.
One that I loved her book, she was kind of 2 hours away, and I joked that I stalked her so much, telling her how much I loved her books, that she gave in and became my friend, and now we're brainstorming partners and stuff. And it was
awesome. That is so cool.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
It was just more, I just kept writing to her saying, I really love this part about your story, and this is really cool, and if you ever want to meet, I'm only 2 hours away, we could meet in public. And it just started that way, just being friendly, and then it grew from there to being good friends, which is really cool.
That is exciting. Congratulations on that. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. Thank you again so much for joining us and letting us learn a bit about you and your books. And
well, thanks for having me on here. It was great to get to talk with you and me too and share stuff about books. I love that.